So speaking of polls, here's a change.org petition that R. Hartwell shared over on the Reddit. I wanted to share it today, and if this is of interest to you, you can go check it out. So this is a change.org petition to include economist Emerson and Suffolk polls for the DNC debates. All right, so what are they saying here? We voters ask that you include polls from the economists Emerson and Suffolk for the September and October DNC debates. Since the end of the July debates, only a handful of polls have been released, far fewer than what was previously being released. We ask that these polls be included, so Secretary Julian Castro and Representative Tulsi Gabbard be included in the debates. All right, now, so they're almost there. They want to get 15,000. They have 14,043 so far. So if that is of interest to you, go to change.org, sign that petition. Again, it is to include economists Emerson, Suffolk polls for the DNC debates. That's include economists Emerson, Suffolk polls for the DNC debate over at change.org. Now, just for conversation's sake, you know what? I get the point of this petition, and I think it's a good thing. I want more people included in the debates, not less. But I think we should just not include polls completely. I think that if your candidate meets the independent threshold, they should be able to participate in the debate. If they follow the protocol, and I get it, they gotta, they gotta be with the party and stuff like that. Okay, whatever, that's fine. Bernie did what he had to do that. As did everyone else. That's fine. But if they have the amount of support, if they have the amount of grassroots support, they have the amount of individual donors, that means regular people giving them money saying we want to see you in the debate, they should be in the debate. They screwed Gravel out of the debates. They're trying to screw Tulsi out of the debates. And here's the thing. We cannot have Bernie be the only progressive up there. My throat's really dry today. I apologize for that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on today, but I'm flubbing over words a bunch. It's because my throat's dry. A couple people just left the stream because I took a sip of water. That's harsh. They're like, you do not get to hydrate. I want to get my news immediately. I do not have time for your hydration. I just stumble over the words. I don't care. Flub it. I'm out. I'm out. You need water? I said good day, sir. Anyway, all right, so there's that change.org petition. But yeah, I think all these polls are handpicked and cherry-picked by the DNC. And so many polls. Has anyone here, and by the way, leave your answers in the chat. And when we go to the chat later, after all the stories are over, I'm curious to see the answer. Who here has been polled ever? Leave your answer. I want to go through these answers. I have never been polled. Oh, wait, no. I take that back. I was polled one time, and it was only because they called. It was when I was living with my parents. Well, I wasn't living there. It was the summer in between college semesters, so I was home for the summer. I think I was like maybe 19. Actually, it might have been before college even. It's not important. But I was at my parents' house. They called the landline. And, I'm from Pennsylvania. It was when Rick Santorum. Okay, so I would have been about 20 or so, because I think it was when Rick Santorum finally got beat, which I believe was 2006. So anyway, this isn't important, but it was about Rick. And I remember at the time I was super, super against. Well, I still am. Why am I saying at the time? Still am super against Rick Santorum. And they were just like, would you vote for Rick Santorum? And I said something like, I would vote for a thing of fecal matter before I voted for Rick Santorum or something like that. I said something to that effect. Like I would vote for blah, 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 before I vote for Rick Santorum. And they were like, does that mean you're not going to vote for him? And I was like, yes, that means I'm not going to vote for him. I guess they needed a straight up yes or no, which I did give them. But anyway, that was the only time I was polled. And the only reason they said, are you the head of household? And I just said, yes. I just said yes because I assumed it was a telemarketer or something like that. And I just wanted to, just get off the phone as quickly as possible. I didn't want to inconvenience my dad or my mom. So they were like, you the head of household? I just said yes. That's another thing that they'll do on those things. They'll ask for the head of household. Why? Because it's likely to be, if it's not the head of household, first of all, they don't want to talk to children. And I understand that. You can't just be polling, like a 9-year-old who answered the phone or whatever else. And I don't know if that still happens, by the way. Does that still, in our day and age, everybody has a cell phone. Landlines are seldomly used. So when a landline does ring, if there's a family and they have kids, will that kid answer? I don't even know if that happens. I used to answer the phone because I thought it might be for me, right? I mean, that would be why we would answer. I'm just old enough to know, like, I remember the pre-cell phone world where nobody really had a cell phone, or if somebody did, it was like a big deal and they never used it. They had it and they're like, I got this thing. It's the size of a brick and it's about as heavy as one. And if I make a call, it costs me $45. But it's a cell phone in case of emergencies. Now, of course, payphones were still everywhere. So you would just go and pop in a quarter and use a payphone. Then they made payphones more than a quarter, which was a big pain in the ass. But anyway, so I wonder if that's still happening. I don't know. I don't have kids, nor do I have a landline. I have neither of those two things. Don't have a landline, don't have kids. So I don't know the answer to any of those questions. I have no clue. But anyway, yeah, so I get it. They don't want to talk to a kid, but they also want to make sure they talk to the person who is likely the oldest and likely the richest. But anyway, so I just said yes, and then they pulled me about Rick Santorum. That's the only time. And it was just because they thought they were talking to my dad. They didn't even want to talk to me. They asked for head of household. That wasn't me. But I just said it was because I figured it was a telemarketer and I would just get them off the phone. And then they were like, we're conducting a survey for the election. I was like, oh, I'm so in. So I took the survey. And my dad was not a Rick Santorum fan either. So I don't think, I'm sure his answers would have been similar. Anyway. All right. So I just don't think if you register the company way, play it the company way, you get the amount of unique donors, you should be in the debates, period. That's what I think. I don't think any polls should play a role. I think they screwed Mike Gravel out of the debates. They're trying to screw Tulsi Gabbard out of the debates. And this is nothing new. If you're an actual peace candidate, they try to get you off stage as soon as possible. That's why they made a bunch of rules up in 2008 to make sure that Dennis Kucinich and Ron Paul were off that debate stage as soon as they can get them off. And it worked. They got Dennis Kucinich off. They got Ron Paul off. All right. So, and they're doing it again. They are doing it again.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your